Flash. Ah! Oh man, so we are officially live. Let's see. We got my CPU running at 25.9%. We got running at 60 FPS. I never drop frames, so I don't even gotta mention that. But let's see. You know, let's give people a little bit of time to catch up and come and join us, because this is like a spur of the moment kind of thing. You know, I always do live streams on Friday. It just alternates between 11 and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are just tuning in or you are just subscribing to this channel, make sure you keep your Friday live stream schedule open, because we will always be doing something on Fridays. It's just the best day for me. I usually have Fridays off. Reason being is because, you know, no one likes to work on the fucking weekend, and especially this guy right here. I've had some interesting things happen the past couple days, so maybe if we have a little bit of time, I'll be able to, you know, discuss those with you guys. But you know, we're about to hit a huge benchmark on this channel. We're about to hit 20,000 subscribers. You know, we're already at 18,000, I think around 500 or something around there. So we will be hitting that 20k goal hopefully on Sunday. You know, we'll be doing the live stream after the show on Sunday. I've already got big plans for that stream. We'll likely be doing another giveaway during that stream. Oh man, cannot wait. But yeah, so you know, usual stuff. We'll try to stay away from anything that is too off topic. But like I said, if we have time, I do want to discuss, you know, a few of those things that's happened. How many people we got watching right now? Let's see, we got 84 in here. That is what's up. Welcome everyone, y'all are all beautiful. Let's start doing a couple shout outs. Let's see, we got shout out to Daughter of Ice and Fire. Shout out to the Drowned God of Tits and Wine, I like that. Shout out to Diana. Shout out to Crimson, Demons, Ivan Shishmanoff, Carrie Neves, Dalwall, Shiv R, I think I said that right. Cool Boy 1269's got his photos, profile pics, his Post Malone. Fucks with that. We got Martin Davila, Debate the Cause, Art Carney 56, Undead Polo, Tom Lee 123, Bavia Mihar Mehra. I said that wrong. Brunt Jibble. Did I miss anyone? Alicia Davis, Oscar Echevarria Rodriguez, Dom Peterson, Justin Kelly. What is up? Tom Lee 123. I think I got everyone. Latoya Gordon, Jay. Third door from the left. That's clever. James Hodge, Live in My Rhapsody. Enrique Rodriguez. Oscar, oh, I already said that. Ahmed Bayat. Connor Strack. And I think I got all of y'all. Oh, what's with all the lightning? By the way, shout out to Iggy Che Dormy. I know I butchered that, but yeah, that is because I am the storm. I am the motherfucking storm. Sir Hunt's Reviews is the storm. No, I said you, Brunt Ghibli. I said you. I just probably pronounced your name crazy wrong. Sierra Russell, what's up? Let's see, we got JSM PSNN. What's up? Undead Polo, I think I already said you. Potato Villager, I like that. What do you do? Oh, I'm a potato villager. I live in a potato village where I farm. Fred Wicks, what's up, man? How's it going? Let's see. The first questions I'm going to be answering are from my Patreon, and then the next one I will be answering are from Twitter, and then I will be jumping in the chat to answer questions from you all. Let's give everyone maybe 2 more minutes to see if we can get a bit more people in here, and then we will begin the stream. Shout out to Forrest Blurta. How are you? Alright, so yeah, just a few more minutes. You guys chat amongst yourselves. Sir Hunter will be starting this stream shortly. Oh, I hope so, Ivan. 20k, I hope so. I hope so. We're close. We're about 1,500 subscribers away from there. Shout out to Maria Pena. Please, Aaron Habig. Hello, how are you doing, my lovely? Robert D'Antonio, how are you doing, sir? Christian Oles, how are y'all? So yeah, let's see if we can go ahead and slap a like on that, if you can, please. Yeah. Shout out to Dylan. Welcome to the family. He's a new subscriber. That's awesome. All right, so yeah, we got another 2 minutes, and then we will be rocking off. Stop, leave the damn door alone, you crazy kitten. What is wrong with you? Alright, so yeah, no face cam today, but you know, y'all know how I do. We'll be back on Sunday with the full action face cam. Alright, so let's get things started off properly. Real quick, how many people are watching right now? We got 124 people in the chat. And on my end, it only looks like we have 1 like. Can we hit 100 likes starting off already? I know it's a crazy goal, but I believe in you guys just as much as y'all believe in me, and I think we can make this happen. All right, so let's see. This question is from Angel, and this is a patron of mine, and he says, Varys did not tell Dany about Ned not wanting to have nothing to do with Robert Baratheon trying to kill her. Or I think he's saying, why didn't Varys mention that? I think the reason being is because it was a little bit too late at that point. If he had came into the room maybe a few minutes earlier, he's referring to that scene where Jon first meets Daenerys, and I believe this was in episode 3. And basically, Jon Snow, the whole time Jon's in the room, he's got Davos with him, and then, you know, Dany brings up a few times that basically, you know, Jon, I don't know, I feel like if, Jesus Christ, kitten, can you relax, bro? You're distracting the hell out of me. I'm about to put you in the room with her. Hang on 1 second, I gotta put my, hang on. You are extremely distracting, bro. You're fucking going insane, bro. You got a crack or something. You are nuts right now, dude. Jesus. All right. I love how the animals decide to start showing their asses as soon as I start. All right, so yeah, basically, I feel like if Varys had walked in maybe a few minutes sooner, he would have made that initial meeting between Daenerys and Jon Snow go a lot smoother. But now, the way they left off in episode 4, I do believe, you know, a little bit of a friendship is being built. Let me grab some water. Damn. I didn't have nothing ready. I'm sorry, y'all. Alright, this next question is from Sami Omer, and this is another patron of mine, and he says, hi Mark, hope you're doing good after those awesome episodes. Who advised Dany to attack the Lannisters on the road? Do you think she did it by herself or someone told her to? So that was, see, when that happened, I felt like a scene was missing. I felt like there needed to be a scene, because once Theon shows up and, you know, he asked to speak to Daenerys, that's when we all find out Daenerys is gone, and then we cut to Daenerys on the battlefield and she's burning shit up. So I'm not really sure. I do ultimately think that she took Jon's advice. She didn't go attack King's Landing, so we could say that Jon was the one who kind of told her to do that, but ultimately I think that was her decision as of herself, because she was sick of kind of sitting back and letting everybody else tell her what to do. She let out full-on Targaryen, you know. So I do think it was a mix between the two, because she asked Tyrion, Tyrion advised her to stick to the plan. She asked Jon, Jon basically kind of said the same thing, like in the sense that, you know, don't do anything rash, you should not attack King's Landing. So I think it was half and half, maybe her own decision, and then also some input from Jon. Okay, so the next question is, let's see, this is from Twitter. And I posted, make sure if you guys want to know ahead of time, like when I'm working on a video or when something is exciting is coming up on the channel, make sure you go to Twitter and follow me. And that's actually my Twitter handle down there in the left-hand corner. It's @sir_hunts. All right, so this question, the first question from Twitter comes from, let's see, Blurta. And I know I'm saying your name wrong, I'm sorry. She says, do the Faceless Men have Euron's dragon egg, which he claims to have lost in the sea? I don't honestly think Euron has a dragon egg on the TV show. I feel like if he did, his focus should be on trying to hatch that dragon and then trying to make that dragon as big as possible to maybe fight against Daenerys like he wants to do. As far as the books, I'm also not really sure about that as well. I do think that, you know, Euron has more magical items than he possesses on the TV show. Like, he definitely probably has Dragon Binder, and, you know, he could maybe have a dragon egg. Let's see, this next question is from Sir Fife Horsebane. Nice name. Will Jon refuse to bend the knee like Mance did to Stannis when given the same speech? I don't know. I mean, I do think that part of where Jon came up with the refusing to be so quick to kneel is from him hanging out with the wildlings and possibly being, you know, influenced by their culture. You know, they don't... Do we got someone chilling in the chat? Yeah, we do. We got someone trolling already. Alright, let's see this James Dillon fellow. You know what? I'll give you another chance. You know, what you said is a little bit inappropriate. I'm not gonna repeat it, but just don't talk shit. Like, well, there's no point. If you came here to talk shit, fuck off, bitch. I don't need you in my fucking chat. How about that? Let's see. Sir Five Horsbanes. This is another question from him, and he says, what will Arya's role be in the wars to come? Well, now that she just got her Valyrian steel dagger, I think she will serve as one of Jon's right-hand lieutenants. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe she's going to be taking out a few White Walkers. I do know that she's got a lot of catching up to do when it comes to that. Killing White Walkers. We do know that Jon Snow and some of the other Starks have some catching up to do when it comes for avenging House Stark. I think Jon Snow and Arya are pretty up there. You know, Arya technically has a higher body count, but Jon Snow fought in the Battle of the Bastards, and he also killed Ramsay Bolton, one of the biggest betrayers of House Stark. So, you know, there's a little bit of competition there, but I think her main role being, now that she has that Valyrian steel daggers, I think she's going to come to be one of Daenerys's, or I'm sorry, one of Jon Snow's closest consorts. Like, basically, you know what I would love to see Arya doing? I would love to see her fighting next to Jon when he goes north of the wall. And I know Arya's not going to go north of the wall, but I'm just saying that would be fucking amazing. And we have a super chat already, keeping it real, from the boy Matt Z. He became a Patreon recently. Thank you, kind sir. He says, for the watch, spoon, smiley face, you're the man, Sir_Hunts. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let's see, this next question comes from House Owens of Oleander, and this is also on Twitter, and he said, did Jon bend the knee in the cave? What? With Dany? All of his scenes after that kind of make it seem as if he did. What do you think? Well, I actually kind of covered this in my episode 5 promo breakdown. I believe it is linked down below in the description. If not, go to my channel and check that out. I go more in depth there, but basically I think that, you know, a moment like that, Jon Snow bending the knee, that kind of has to happen on screen. We need to see that. You know, it officially has to happen in front of someone from the north so that we can see that. I feel like it was almost like a basically, like, we come to the same understanding. Like, you know, I respect you, you respect me. So they had a mutual respect for each other. I did notice that Jon Snow started using proper titles after they exited the cave. So I don't think that he did bend the knee, but I think he more of, like, they both in that moment finally respected each other mutually. Like, they equally have each other's, they give each other the same amount of respect. You know, respect is earned, not given. So I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and say he did not bend the knee in the cave, because I feel like we need to see that on screen. But also, there is a chance that he could have symbolically done it, which is basically when she said, I'll fight for you if you bend the knee. You know what I mean? So let's see. This next question is from Shot by Shahhead, and this is also on Twitter, and he says, what's west of Westeros? This is one of my favorite answers, or favorite questions to answer. Lonely Light. It's owned by the Iron Islands, so west of Westeros is Lonely Light. Further than that, no one really knows, because just block him. Anyone who wants to come in here and talk shit, I'm not even going to respond to those comments. Mods, please, just go ahead and block him. Don't even give him a chance. But yeah, so west of Westeros immediately is Lonely Light, and then further out past that, no one really knows. There have been several people that have gone out there in our story, and few of them have returned. Like, hardly any of them. I think the main reason being is because no one takes enough supplies. You know, the people that have gone out there and came back said there's nothing but sea. It's just endless sea. So, if you can imagine back in, when America was first being colonized, it would take a year and a half to travel to America from England. So, if you can imagine being on sea for 4 months and not seeing land, you'll probably turn the fuck around and be like, yeah, there's nothing out there, just water. I feel like if they went far enough around, they might end up in Ahai, or, you know, somewhere over in Essos. Let's see. We have the next question is from Sir Fife, and this was the last one that I received on Twitter, and then I will start answering questions in the chat. He says, what will be Jaime's White Book moment? Honestly, I think that happened. I think Jaime's White Book moment happened in the last episode. His charging the dragon, being an idiot. He'll definitely be written down. That battle should be written down in the White Book. This is like the White Book, basically meaning like where all of the Kingsguard, where they get their greatest deeds written down in. You know, Sir Barristan Selmy has one of the most like filled out pages out of anyone. You know, I honestly want to say that it could be that moment where he tried to run run Daenerys down. You know, with the spear, basically just having taken place in the battle or their Field of Fire 2.0, and then if he survives, I think that's good enough to be written down in the White Book. But honestly, I don't really, I'm not sure. You know, he honestly hasn't done anything too noteworthy, other than killing the Mad King. I guess that could be written down too. Let's see, were there any more questions from Twitter? Shit, I got distracted. Sorry about that. I think I got all those. There's another one. Alright, I'll come back to that in a second. Alright, so let's see. Hopping in the chat here. We have 199 people watching right now. That is what's up. How are all of y'all doing? Alright. Q&A. Do you think we will see any of Sansa, Warg, or Green? No. Sansa actually is the only Stark child in the novel to not have, in the novels rather, to not have wolf dreams. Reason being is because Lady was killed so early on, she never fully bonded with her direwolf. All of the other Stark children did. And you know, Arya, honestly, if Lady was still alive and like sort of let free, like Arya's direwolf Nymeria, maybe she would have developed wolf dreams eventually, but most of the Stark children developed them in the novels. I think the reason being is, hang on one second. I think the reason why Sansa never developed them was because, like we had just mentioned, that her wolf was killed so early on, but also because she's more of like her mother. So she's like a southern woman from the Riverlands. You know what I mean? She takes more of her mother in that, more of after her mother in that sense. Honestly, on the TV show, I'd say she's full on House Stark. I would have loved to see her develop, you know, wolf dreams. Oh man, we're at 208 people. That's nuts. Let's see. Afternoon from Texas, Sir Hunt. Afternoon to you as well. Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. Q&A. Do you think Littlefinger will finally be dealt with in the next episode? Honestly, I fucking hope so. The main reason being is because I'm tired of seeing this dude waste screen time and make us think that he's got some master plan going on, and then nothing else, you know, nothing really comes of that. It kind of does, but ultimately not really. Like, he's like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, I misread that scene with him and Bran. Like, I initially said that he's just trying to cover his own ass. If you rewatch that, the way this scene starts out is he's basically describing to Bran, he's calling him Lord of Winterfell, for one, and he's basically leading on to the fact that he's going to say that Bran should be the rightful ruler of Winterfell, because he's basically saying that everything I've done has been to protect House Stark. We all know it's bullshit. Bran even knows, I guess we should start calling him Blood Raven / Three-Eyed Raven. He knows that everything he's saying is bullshit. So it's almost like, you know, stop it. Like, there's no point. You literally, all of the little loose threads that you think you can pull on to make House Stark unravel, they're gone, bro. They have everything they need. They don't really need extra shit from you. So I honestly think he's going to be dealt with. I keep saying it'll be in the next episode, I don't know if it'll be in the next episode, but I will say that within the next 3 episodes, he may be dealt with 5, 6, or 7. You know, we have 3 episodes left this season, and one of those, I do think he's going to end up dying this season. So I don't know if he'll die next episode, but I do think it'll be this season. I think it would be a good way to send him, like, to kill him on the last episode, because then it'd be like, oh, what's going to be the next step? You know what I mean? Let's see. We got a super chat from Lisa, and she says, no question right now, just enjoying listening. Thank you, madam. Let's see. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked because my chat on my screen is blinking. I know you guys don't see it's blinking, but it's blinking for me. Alright, let me pull this. Alright, so let's see. We got 93 dislikes, 200 people watching. Can we please slap some likes on this video for Mark, aka Sir Hunts? Let's see. Q&A. This is from Annie Bunn, and she says, Q&A, do you think the Hound will stop by Winterfell? Arya Sansa Hound reunion? Honestly, I know that the Hound saved Sansa from being raped, and, you know, there's that reunion, and it's a little bit more of a thing in the books, because there was a scene that was, like, deleted. Basically, the Hound was, like, singing to her, and they were I feel like they were closer in the books than they were in the TV show. I'm excited. I definitely think that the Brotherhood without banners and the Hound will be stopping by Winterfell on their way north. Some people think that Jon's going to sail to Eastwatch directly from Dragonstone. I don't think that's the case. I think he has to go home. He has to get supplies. He only has like 4 or 5 men with him. He'd be a fucking fool to do that. He has to go back to Winterfell to get Tormund. Tormund is back there. Tormund said that he was going to go with him. I don't think that Tormund already left for Eastwatch by the Sea. If he did, then Tormund may be dead by the time Jon Snow gets there. But I do think that Jon Snow will have to go home. And in doing that, I think, you know, that's when the Hound and everyone else will be there. I'm most excited about seeing Arya and the Hound reuniting, but I definitely think the Brotherhood will be stopping by there, and we'll get Sansa, Arya, and the Hound all in the same room. Possibly even Bran. Bran may have the most respect for the Hound because he would have seen that he stopped Sansa from being raped, and he also saved Arya's life. You know, honestly, I want Jon Snow and the Hound to interact with each other, because I don't know why, I just feel like that would be so awesome. But I also want Daenerys to interact with the Hound even more. Daenerys is like the Hound's greatest fear living incarnate. She is fire in human form. You know what I mean? So if they meet each other, it's almost like, what's his reaction going to be? Like, oh, that bitch is a fucking dragon. You know what I mean? Like, what is he going to say? Like, what the fuck are you going to say to that? Like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And just like take off running? No, that's not the Hound. But oh, we have some very exciting reunions coming up. And, you know, honestly, I thought I'd be most excited for House Stark reuniting this season. But so far, we've had 3 Stark reunions. And between Arya and Sansa, it's kind of, you know, other than that one, I think the one with Sansa and Bran, and then the one with Sansa, Arya, and Bran were lackluster compared to Sansa and Arya. It was cute because they meet down in the Crypts of Winterfell, and they say that same thing. It's like, we should have had someone who actually knew Father's face carve the statue because it looks nothing like him. I honestly think it does look like Ned. I think they did a pretty good fucking job, but it's cool because Sansa, I feel like in this moment, Sansa's kind of like let down. She's becoming depressed, and Arya comes in like, no, we're still alive. We're still here. And even though Sansa said no one who's seen Ned's face is left alive, or is still alive, Arya corrects her and saying, no, we're still alive. He was our father. We've seen him. So I think that's more, you know, more of like, it's appropriate. It's cool. It's like Sansa. I figured Sansa would be the one that would help rebuild Arya's character, because Arya, I think, was clearly the more broken person. If you're fucking running around like a homicidal maniac and you're baking people into pies and then cannibalizing them to their father, like basically feeding them to their father, you are mentally insane. I love your character, and I think you're awesome, and I think you're a cool chick, but you are fucking crazy. Like, a normal, oh man, I kind of want to release my Arya panel that I did from Con of Thrones. We kind of got into a debate with that. Oh shit, we got a super chat from Matt Z, and he says, what's next for Qyburn? Honestly, I think what's next for Qyburn could be using the little birds to assassinate someone we care about this season. You know, honestly, anytime I think of him, I think of that Scorpio, or the Ballista rather, and I think of him harming one of our beloved dragons. So, you know, I don't really want to keep it short, but I think the next thing for Qyburn will definitely be figuring out a way to kill another character, or death, because honestly, if Qyburn is taken from Cersei, her two closest advisors are the Mountain and Qyburn. I don't necessarily wouldn't consider the Mountain an advisor, but nonetheless, it would do some damage to Cersei, and I would like to see Varys get a hold of his little birds again and use his little birds to kill Qyburn. That would be pretty cool. But no, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so about Arya. Yeah, it's like, I'm a huge fan of her, and the people on the panel were huge fans of her. Actually, one of the people on the panel was Sue the Fury from Watchers on the Wall. She's a big fan of Arya, and she was trying to say that she didn't think that Arya was like a psycho. And I'm like, no, if you take it out of context, if it's anyone else other than someone that you care about, and they're running around stabbing motherfuckers and killing everyone, no, hands down, no hesitation, we would say that person is mentally insane. They have lost their marbles. They are fucking going on a rampage, so they have a psychosis, you know what I mean? But yeah, I might be dropping that panel soon. I'm not sure. I'll probably wait until after this season finishes out before I drop any more things from Con of Thrones. We had a bit of an issue about only being able to upload a certain amount, so I'll probably, I don't know. Let's see. Q&A. Looking for a Q&A. Q&A, do you think we will see Ghost at all this season? I hope so. I'm hoping, you know, I'm not as upset as most people with the fact that we haven't seen him on the show, because I feel like when we see direwolves a lot, they usually tend to die. Remember how terrible it was how Summer died? She basically died the same way as Hodor, by being stabbed by a bunch of whites. Jon Snow's in some dangerous territory this season. He's, you know, he's going to go meet the Dragon Queen. He's now going to be going north of the Wall to deal with the Night King and his White Walker army. I kind of want Ghost to stay away from the show until Jon Snow is back in Winterfell making plans for the next battle of the White Walkers. So I'm actually kind of glad that Ghost hasn't been shown as much, because it makes me think that he's going to die. But, you know, I do think that we will see him at some point this season. I think we'll see Ghost connect with Arya. You know, Arya had already been seen with the direwolf. Maybe the next time we see Ghost, it'll be at Winterfell, and Arya will be the one to meet up with him. That'd be cool. But yeah, so to answer your question, I do think we will be seeing Ghost again this season. Joe Swag, this is not actually a question, but he says Jon Snow might be the best swordsman. Barristan dead, Jaime crippled. Jon had a lot of action lately. Look at his fights at the Battle of the Wall. Jon Snow is the best swordsman in Westeros. There is no doubt in my mind about that. And if it's otherwise, well then the showrunners need to do a better job of filming other scenes for other fighters on the show to show that they could potentially be better than Jon Snow. Honestly, Jon Snow's plot armor is so thick he could probably barely move. He's probably over-encumbered. Anyone who plays RPG games, they probably know what I'm talking about. You know, you get over-encumbered, you can't move around. That's how thick Jon Snow's plot armor is. So I do think that it's interesting that... Did I just miss? No, I didn't. Okay. So yeah, basically, if he gets paired up with any fighter, honestly, he's going to win. I don't know if he got paired up against the Mountain, if it'd be believable that he'd win, but I will say that Jon Snow's plot armor is so thick that it's safe to say that he's the greatest fighter in Westeros. He's fought some of the greatest fighters, and he's won. Oh, we got a super chat from Fred Wicks. Hello, fellow patron. He says, do you think Melisandre is bringing back the Red Priest to Westerosi to revive fallen heroes / soldiers on the battlefield before the Night King? Now I want to give a quick shout out to Azor Hype. He was actually the first person I saw do that. He did a video, what was it called? The Fiery Hand, which is basically a group of soldiers that protect the priest, the Temple of R'hllor in Essos. That would be insane if that does happen. You can imagine, like, the Red Priest, the fact that they would go to the battlefield where the Night King and the White Walkers are being fought shows a lot of balls. You know, Melisandre dipped out after she saw that shit wasn't gonna end well for Stannis. Kinvara didn't go with Daenerys across the Narrow Sea to Westeros. That doesn't mean that she wouldn't show up later. She could have just stayed back and wait for Daenerys to invade. I don't know. I just feel like that might be a little bit too fan fiction-y. If you have, like, basically, it would look like a video game scene, because you know how you have your healers. The healers will run forward and res everyone and start reviving them and shit. I feel like that would be a little bit really silly if we've got this massive battle going on and then you see Kinvara and Melisandre and other Red Priests running around doing that prayer. If I'm not mistaken, it's not, their powers aren't that great. They have to basically lose faith in R'hllor. That's the way it's happened with Thoros and with Melisandre. Like, at the moment where they brought the person back, they lost all faith. Now, it could be argued that Thoros obviously restored his faith after bringing back Beric Dondarrion, but I still think that's left up to the question. The first time he did it, he had lost all faith. So if that's the case, and these Red Priestesses and priests are going to be reviving people, do they have to technically lose faith first and then revive the person, and they can revive them numerous amounts of time? I do think that there's potential for Jon Snow to be killed and then to be brought back again, but I don't think that, I don't know, it's hard for me to imagine a team of Red Priests running around, like, healing everyone. I just get this huge MMORPG moment where I'm thinking, like, that might look a little bit too silly, but I don't know. I do think it's a possibility. Like I said, go check out Kyle's video on that. Let's see, Q&A. How do you think Cersei will react when she finds out Tyrion didn't kill Joffrey? The question is will she get that message? If Jaime escaped, then she'll get the message. But if Jaime doesn't escape and he's held prisoner by Daenerys for the rest of the season, then she won't get that message. Her reaction to it is probably not going to make her budge. She'll be like, oh, okay, well, he might not have killed my son, but he still killed my father, you know? So Tyrion's relationship with Cersei is fucked. And I did see a few people, you know, telling me that in that episode 5 promo teaser, basically people were saying that Varys is trying to convince Tyrion to go and talk to Cersei. If that's the case, they would be fucking fools. Like, I don't know if these people have read the plot leaks and they're putting information in my comment section, like saying that, like, basically this is what they predict, but ultimately they read the leak, so that's where they're getting that from. If that's the case, well then that's kind of a dickhead move, because you're pretending that you know this information and you made this prediction, but it's really you read the plot leaks and that's what it is and you spoiled it for me. But I don't know. I mean, I can't see any other reason why people would think that Tyrion would be dumb enough to go meet with Cersei. It's like, if you know some insider information, like, yeah, okay, I read the plot leak, and that's what happens in the plot leak, so this is what I think is going to happen. No, it doesn't work that way. Because that kind of logic doesn't exist on the show. There would be no reason at all why Tyrion would be, okay, Varys, let's go talk to Cersei. Like, no, that'd be the dumbest thing in the fucking world. So if you know some pre-existing knowledge and you've read the plot leaks, and that's what happens in the plot leaks, and you're mentioning that in the comment section as if you just thought of it, well, then you're kind of a dick. But, I don't know if Cersei will get that message. If Jaime escapes, then obviously he'll deliver the message to Cersei. But if he doesn't escape and Cersei doesn't find out, I don't think her reaction will be any different. I still think that she's going to hate Tyrion just for the fact that she's been doing it so long. She's been setting her waves, and it's a lot harder to pull back and change, you know, from this path that you've been going down. Like, I've noticed that when I first started dating my girlfriend, the little silly habits that I had that she hated, I dropped them. Now, you know, the things that she doesn't like, I'm already set in my ways. You know, I'm almost 30 years old. I'm giving myself an extra 3 years. I'm 27 years old, but regardless, I'm older, so I'm more set in my ways. So I feel like Cersei's been hating Tyrion for 3 seasons now. It'd be impossible to go back on that, especially since Tyrion did kill her father. You know, everyone hated Tywin, his kids hated them, but that was still his father. So, you know, you always have that. Daughter of Ice and Fire says, do you agree Bronn deserves more than one castle after that performance? Okay, so look, you know, there's a lot of people that are saying Bronn was the hero in that situation. You know, I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, yeah, he did, you know, he did what he was supposed to do, I guess. And it's crazy because, like, you know, Dan and Dave put it in a really good way, and after that, I always recommend if you guys watch the episode, always watch the after the episode. Whether you come to jump on my channel for the live stream or whether you watch it after my live stream, just watch that because it gives us inside information. So when you have these people theorizing of what the motivation behind certain characters are, they're incorrect sometimes. And in the after show, they actually make it very clear and they tell you what the motivation behind each character is. So the motivation behind I'm going back to the question. Where's it at? Oh yeah, so the motivation behind the battle scene and having it filmed from two separate angles is like we care a lot about Daenerys, we also care a lot about Jaime. You know, if it was Cersei on the battlefield, I might have just been like, fuck it, kill her, I don't really give a shit. But it was Jaime, so we all feel for Jaime. We all feel that, you know, he's a character of ours that we like. So it's like, yeah, we're rooting that Daenerys wins because she's been fucked over for so long, but also we don't want her to completely destroy the Lannister army, because that means Jaime would have to die. And I honestly think Jaime has a huge role to play. He could definitely be, I don't know how good of a fighter he'd be, but, you know, someone like Jaime, with what he's shown us, he would be a good fit to sit the Iron Throne, you know? So I don't think that Bronn deserves a castle for his performance in that battle. I do think that he did a good job. He was just following orders. I honestly think that if Jaime had left and it was just him there, I don't think he would have done what he did, which was basically jump on the ballista and shoot the dragon in the shoulder. But I do feel like that that shot was a little bit unbelievable. Like, yeah, he's got good aim. Yeah, he was the dude who shot an arrow and lit the Blackwater, or lit the Bay of Blackwater on fire. With the wildfire in the battle for Blackwater, but you know, that doesn't really take that much aim. All you have to do is shoot a fucking arrow up and then it'll land in the ocean and light the ocean on fire. Shooting the dragon in the shoulder was definitely better aim. He did a good job doing that, but, you know, it's like, I don't really think, it'd be like saying, did Ollie do a good job stabbing Jon Snow in the stomach? Hell no. I mean, like, yeah, Ollie did a good job stabbing him because obviously Jon Snow died because of it, but it's like he fucking stabbed the main character in the stomach. So you're asking me if Bronn, who's a shitty dude, if it's okay, you know, that he shot Drogon in the shoulder. Like, hell no, I don't think he deserves anything. If anything, I'll punch him in the face. You know what I mean? But if I completely remove the fact that I'm House Targaryen, then yeah, Bronn did a good job, and I think that his accomplishments in battle do deserve a reward. Another castle? That'd be pushing it. Let's see. This is, oh shit, we got a super chat from Matt Z, and he says, could a faceless man be paid to kill the Night King? How do these god that will that we have prove exist react to the Night King? Lord of Light is trying to stop him. Oh, I don't get the second part of your question, but basically if a faceless man could be used to kill the Night King, that would have to be one hell of a faceless man. Like, he would basically have to he would have to be a fucking wizard. Like, he'd have to be able to sneak into north of the wall, like into their camp undetected, right? Which is almost in the lands of always. Well, I guess they're marching to Eastwatch. I guess they're closer to the wall, but I don't know. I feel like it's possible. I don't know if the faceless men would be too big of a skeptic on the Night King existing because of all the shit that they can do. You know, taking the face of someone else and taking the voice and the height and mimicking someone else. You know, obviously there is some truth to magic in their eyes. Like, obviously they believe in magic. So, I mean, I guess if the price is if the price is right enough, they may attempt to. The real question is if that happens, would they use the face of a white to, like, sneak into the army? You know what I mean? Like, what would they do? Would they basically, like, throw on the face of a dead person and then sneak around and, you know, like, maneuver that way? That'd be that raises up more questions from my end that I can honestly answer. That was a really good one, though. Thank you, Zach. Excuse me. I've always, like, I don't know what's going on. I'm always, like, clogged up whenever I do these Q&A. What are the White Walkers doing with Craster's sons? They are turning them into whites. There's a moment in the first season where we see a White Walker. Is that the first season? Hell no, it's the second season. Where a White Walker takes one of Craster's sons to the lands of Always Winter, and he takes him to the pyre, or the area where the first White Walker was created, which was a place where the Children of the Fire, Children of the Forest considered holy. It's basically like this huge, like the spiral insignia that they use in these stones that lined up forming a spiral around this weirwood tree. That's where the first White Walker was born. He was basically stabbed in the chest of that. So that's where the Night King and the White Walkers, that's where their home is now, and that's where they take Craster's son, and he touches his face. The Night King touches the baby's face, and the baby starts to immediately turn blue. Its eyes start turning blue, so that's what happens. It basically got turned into a White Walker. I think that every single one of the White Walkers on the show, which there's only like 12 of them that we've seen, and there's even less now because Mirror's killed one, Jon's killed two. Actually, I think Jon Snow's only killed one. Mirror's killed two. Okay, but either way, Jon Snow's count, I'm sure, will be going high up when we get that north of the wall scene, but I don't know. I think just the main thing is that he's just turning them into White Walkers. Shout out to Smokeahanas, how you doing? Thank you for joining us, madam. I'm not sure how messages are being deleted. Let's see. Q&A. How do you think Cersei will react if Dany does hold Jaime like captive? I don't know, man. I feel like that's the news she's being told when Qyburn comes up to her and tells her something, and she says, any obstacle that's put in our place, we will overcome it. I feel like that's what she could be telling that. Like, basically, Jaime didn't make it from the battle. We don't know where his whereabouts are. He could be captured or he could be dead. I think that's probably... that's showing us that she's ready to move on. I think her reaction may be the same way that it was with Tommen when she found out Tommen died. Now, obviously, you would think that she holds Jaime a little bit more dear to her, but her children is what she's been known for, and she says that she fucks her brother because it feels good, not because she thinks he's a good person and that she loves his personality and the way that they spoon together. It's not that, it's not that deep of a love. So I think this would be interesting to see how crazy and how cruel of a woman she's become. She's ready to just move on right after that. She's like, okay, Jaime died, my soulmate died, okay, I lost all my kids. Let's continue fighting on. You know what I mean? She did say that let's make a dynasty for us, referring to her and Jaime. So it's like, if you lose your other half, what's your motivation at that point? Honestly, there is no motivation, and she just becomes a mad woman who wants to take everyone out with her. If she's going down, she wants to take everyone down with her. It's almost like that person who gets fired, and because they got fired from the job, they want to destroy everything as they're walking out. Like, there's that video of that guy who gets fired from McDonald's, and he's pissed off because they won't give him his last check, and he's like, give him my fucking check, and he starts knocking off all over the shelves, knocking off all the supplies and stuff, and then like pouring bleach on the burgers. The reason, that's kind of how Cersei would do it. It's like, if we're firing her from being the ruler of Westeros, she's lost all of her allies, she would literally just blow up the fucking city and take it out with her. She's that type of person. But I do also think that she has plot armor, so I think that, she's gonna pretty much just exist just because we need her around until season 8. Let's see. Sam did kill a White Walker, yes. Did you guys see Lady Stoneheart in the Arya Brienne scene? Like, did we metaphorically see Lady Stoneheart, or did we see her standing in the background? Because that's the if you're talking about the second thing that I just said, she wasn't there. But as far as like which one of the characters are taking on her personality, I honestly would have to give the most of that to Arya. Like, I don't think anyone is going to be adopting her, the rest of her, what she does. It's not going to be adapted to the TV show, and she's obviously not going to ever make a presence on the TV show. But I do think that, between the two of them, between the two Stark sisters, between Arya and Sansa, Arya fits that role more. And I honestly think that Sansa had a little bit of it, but really Arya did. And she definitely wasn't in the scene, so I think that's what you were talking about, because she wasn't there. Q&A, do you think the Sand Snake stories are over? Pretty much. We had Tyene, the last one, dying. She hadn't died officially, but she got kissed with a whole bunch of poison. Which, did anybody else think there was a little bit something off with Cersei's lips that scene. Like, I couldn't quite place it, but, you know, I rewatched the second episode, like, this morning. Or was it this morning or was it last night? Technically, it was this morning, but it was really last night. Like, I'm usually off on Fridays, so I try to stay up as late as possible. I try to stay up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, because come Sunday, I'm going to be staying up all night making my episode 5 review. So I need to, you know, every Sunday I stay up till like 7 or 8 in the morning. When you guys see me drop it on Monday morning, I literally have been up that whole night working on that for y'all. So that's why it's awesome that I'm getting such crazy feedback, that, you know, it's getting a lot of views and you guys are showing your appreciation by slapping likes on it and sharing it, which is awesome. So I really do appreciate that. It makes, you know, I don't make hardly anything from YouTube, but, you know, when I see that kind of feedback, when I see that people care about my opinion that much, where they want to share it and they also want to like and comment and let me know their thoughts also, I'll go above and beyond. You know what I mean? Let's see. Q&A. Is there a war in the north and a war for the throne? Which one will be resolved first? Okay, so no, you're saying if there's a war going on in both places. Honestly, I hope that this battle for the thrones, this Game of Thrones, we have the TV show, we have one picture left. Or one picture. God, I'm like reading the track, getting sidetracked. We have one season left, right? I want that last season to be focused on nothing but the White Walkers. Okay, we only have 6 episodes, and supposedly, according to Paula Fairfield, each episode is going to be 2 hours. So basically, a feature-length movie in season 8. So if that's the case, I don't want to be dealing, like, it would be nice to have a little bit of Westerosi politics, but I don't want to be dealing with none of that shit. So technically, season 8 is the end of Game of Thrones, but I want the actual end of the Game of the Throne to be ended this season. I want by episode 7, everything to be snussed out. Like, if the case is where someone else has to just sit on the throne just to hold it, and then they resolve the fighting for the Iron Throne or the playing of the game for the Iron Throne after this, I want everyone to be focused on the war for the Dawn. It only makes sense that if we're to believe that there's going to be successful in this war when no one has the amount of troops to stand up to the Night King. Honestly, I'm worried about Daenerys having troops to do it too, because she lost a lot of soldiers in the Field of Fire 2.0. But I feel like there's just no time. There's just no time to play the game left. So I want the game to be over this season, and I want everybody to be focusing on the White Walker. So if there's a war going on in both places, how it would end would be pure chaos. The White Walkers would come in and just kill everyone, and it wouldn't be, you know, like, just wouldn't mean as much if we don't have people doing that. Let's see. So we're at 18,539 subscribers. The goal for the end of this is to get to 18,600. So with these 298 people watching right now, almost 300. I know some of you guys aren't subscribed, and you might be thinking about it. You might be checking out my content for a little bit, and then, you know, you decide that you want to subscribe later. Please go ahead and do it. You know, it's free. It'll make it so that every time I go live, and every time, you know, I drop Game of Thrones content, you can just turn on that notification bell and you'll get notified. And you're gonna need people like me and all the other Game of Thrones people, because once this season ends, how are you gonna be entertained for the next year, right? So yeah, that's our job. Our job is to entertain you through the long night. So all that we do to ask in return for that is that you subscribe. Let's see. Q&A. This is from Fred Wicks, and he says the mother of the Sand Snake said last week was her last episode, so they are done. Oh, I didn't read that. I didn't read that. Where'd you read that at? Ryan Williams says each episode 2 hours. What? Hell yeah, bro! Like, literally a feature-length movie. It's insane. It's insane. A feature-length movie. Let's see, Q&A. This is from Tony the Prophecy, and he says, who do you think will be the one to think about marriage between Jon and Dany? Because you can see that Jon won't bend the knee, and they're showing us that. I honestly thought it would be Daenerys. Like, we're having all these role reversals on the show. We're having, you know, a woman who can basically do as much as a man. We have Brienne, who's like the greatest fighter on the TV show next to Jon Snow, and she's a woman. So we have all these different, you know, feminism rocks, and it's a heavy theme in Game of Thrones. So it would just make sense that if we had that other role reversal, that Daenerys was the one to ask for Jon Snow's hand in marriage. I don't know who's going to be the one to bring it up, but I do think that the focus this season is going to be on the White Walkers, and then playing this little stupid Game of Thrones with Cersei. It's funny because someone's playing with a YouTube account subscriber. You realize I can tell who it is because the message pops up, and then you subscribe and then unsubscribe. So fuck off if you're gonna keep playing games. Oh man, Mark's letting his emotions get the better of him. He's being a big old baby. All right, so Q&A. Is there a... I just lost that question. Okay, this is from Scott McCloy, and he says, Q&A, will Rhaegal be featured in episode 5? They need to start developing Rhaegal's personality. Will George R. R. Martin be involved in season 8? So to answer your first, I'll answer your second question first. I don't think George is going to be involved with the show that much anymore. You know, he was heavily involved up until season 4, and then he kind of stepped away because he needs to focus on writing The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring, and then he's also got another Targaryen history book coming out. So I think with all of that on his plate, I do think that he will be stepping back from fulfilling something on the TV show. You know, obviously he's going to be there for advice and maybe trying to give them a little bit of like where they could take this episode with, and then ultimately he might have a bigger hand in the finale of season 8 so that they can make sure they're ending in the right spot. But I do think that for the most part he's pulled away from the show. And then the first part of your question is, will Rhaegal be featured in episode 5? I'm wondering why the fuck we haven't seen anything from the other dragons. Which, if you'll notice my most recent video, it is not my theory, but it is a theory that I felt needed addressed because I had literally 167 comments asking me about this theory, and that was if Drogon got poisoned. So basically, if Drogon gets poisoned, what would that happen? And is it a possibility that one of those bolts that hit him were poisoned? A lot of people were saying they think it's because the weapon was called a scorpion. Obviously, a scorpion stings. That's not the case. A Scorpio is basically just a ballista. It's not named a Scorpio because it's poisonous. The main reason why I wanted to address the theory is because it is very well likely that Cersei could have poisoned those bolts, and then that poison can slow down Drogon and potentially bring him down in a recent battle. So, or an upcoming battle. But in that video, I mentioned how that Drogon was featured heavily, and we've seen him more than any other dragon this season. We've seen the dragons fly by, but we haven't seen. I don't know why Daenerys didn't take the other 2 dragons with her, because I felt like it could have ended a lot quicker. And there wouldn't have been the chance for Drogon to get shot because he would have been trying to aim for one of the other 3 dragons. I do think that it may be a little bit ridiculous and OP if Daenerys had brought all 3 to the battle, so obviously I think that's why she only brought the 1, but I think it could be similar to when other characters get a lot of screen time, sometimes they get killed off. The Walking Dead does this a lot too, like they'll have a main character heavily featured and then they get killed off, so it's almost like we feel more attached when they die. So if we have Drogon with all this screen time, I don't know, like I feel like that could potentially lead us to losing him. Like, he's Daenerys' biggest weapon. So if Daenerys lost him, do you know how vulnerable she would be? Stuff like a marriage with Jon Snow and a forced, you know, they're basically allies right now, but it would just force that hand even bigger if they were to do that. If Daenerys were to lose her greatest weapon, it would humanize her, and it also take her from being too OP. She still has 2 more dragons, but Drogon being the biggest of all the dragons and being the one that she's most bonded with, if she lost him, it would be a crazy insane loss. And I might come to the point where I would get extremely upset with a TV show. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, I do think that there's a possibility to develop Rhaegal's character, Rhaegal and Viserion, more. Like, we'll see them more on screen. Perhaps Jon Snow will finally, like, be face-to-face. We obviously see him face-to-face with Drogon. Daenerys lands right in front of him. And I feel like if there's any time to do it, and I mentioned this as a joke in my video, that Jon Snow should bend the knee then, because then he could just be like, oh yeah, I bent the knee to you, Danny. But then when people ask him, he'd be like, I was the fucking wind from the dragon wings, bro. Like, I just had to kneel real quick. But nah. Obviously, that was a really corny joke. But yeah, so I guess it is possible. It is possible that we could lose Drogon, and the main reason being is because that he was developed so much. Let's see, we have 315 people watched right now, 150 likes. Can we hit 200 likes on this motherfucker? You guys already smashed through the last goal, which was 100. We're at 148. But can y'all slap some more? Let's see if we can hit the 200. If we can get to 200 likes on this motherfucker. Alright, so let's see. We've been streaming for 53 minutes now. That's awesome. Okay, so Q&A is from... oh, wait, real quick. We got a super chat. Thank you, Miss Lorraine Brown. She says, love your channel. Have you noticed how Dany is becoming more vicious? What do you think might push her over the edge to fill the Mad Queen? Well, first off, I want to thank you, Lorraine Brown, for sending that super chat. That's awesome. But when it comes to answering questions about Daenerys, I'm going to be a bit biased. And I think, honestly, when we're asked questions about our favorite character, we all are a bit biased. I think the main reason why Daenerys is being perceived as this Mad Queen is because she burned the Lannister soldiers, and she did it overboard. She basically made it to the point where, you know, we kind of felt bad for the Lannisters in that situation, and the way they write the show is they made us feel that way. You know what I mean? So I think that's why people were jumping the gun. People were in my comment section saying like, "Oh, why are you being so hard on Daenerys? This is fucking war. What do you expect her to say? Bend the knee and I'll let you go so you can go back and be with your family and then come and fight me again?" No, I just feel like we've never seen her do that. We've seen her. Like, people were saying, like, oh, well, she nailed all those people. She mutilated people by nailing them to... Obviously, I don't agree with that. And I do think that was a bit dark. But she was proving a point. They did the same thing with slaves. So she was trying to make a point with, like, okay, you think these people aren't worth it? Well, I think you're not fucking worth it. You're of a higher part of society. But, you know, you think it's okay to do this to these slaves that are up on the wall. Obviously, that was wrong. And, like, me defending her from doing that, it's being a bit silly. It's just like me... when those other people on that panel were defending Arya Stark by saying she's not a lunatic, when I'm like, no, she's stark raving mad. She's literally walking around stabbing the fuck out of people and then feeding children to their parents. You know what I mean? That's insane. If any other person did it, we'd consider that insane. So the fact that I'm being biased against Daenerys having mutilated all of these former slave masters and putting them up on these crosses, and it's over 100 of them, and the fact that I'm like defending her from doing that and saying it's rational is it's going to make me sound biased. But no, I don't think Daenerys is becoming like her father. I do think that what made us be like, okay, this bitch is acting crazy, is because we haven't seen her do that yet. She's been hands off the entire season, and then finally she gets her hands dirty, and we're all like, oh shit, you're going a little bit too hardcore. I don't think that she suffers from the Targaryen madness. We all know that when you flip a coin, you know, Barristan Selmy says when you flip a coin, it's like you're given a 50% chance of whether the Targaryen in power will be batshit insane or whether they'll be relatively normal. I don't think that some of the Targaryen kings who were claimed to be suffering from a madness, that was the case. I think that some of them were just pissy people. Like they had social anxiety disorder, or they had ADHD, or, you know, just in general, like paranoia, like mass, like schizophrenia, like that. Okay, so I guess schizophrenia would be considered, would make someone mad. But I don't think the Mad King has always been mad. I think he was driven mad over time. One of those ways that he could have been driven mad was basically the fact that Bran could have been talking to him from the future and telling him to burn all the White Walkers. But yeah, no, that's taking me down a rabbit hole. Honestly, if Cersei does something to Daenerys where Daenerys is finally just like, fuck it, that could push over the edge and we're like, okay, she's a Mad Queen. Like, basically, if Cersei was able to kill Drogon, Daenerys had Viserion and Rhaegal come back, and then she burned all of the Lannister troops, Jaime included, then we could be like, okay, she might be the Mad Queen. But it's gonna be pretty hard for me to go ahead and jump into that boat. And obviously I said she did jump the gun a little bit by burning the Lannister wagons, but I wasn't criticizing her techniques in battle. I was criticizing the fact that she's got an army that she needs to feed, and she's sitting there burning food like a dum-dum. I am completely fine with her burning all those Lannister soldiers. The thing that pissed me off is the fact that she is gonna burn food, not just for her troops, but also for the rest of the kingdom. The Reach, she should know that. She knew about Torrhen Stark bending the knee. She knew that if House Stark commands and declares himself king of the North, they are technically rebelling against the crown. So she knows all this history. She should know that 90% of the food for the kingdom comes from the Reach and from that area. These wagons don't have weapons. Pay a little bit more attention. Don't burn the fucking food, because I find it hard to believe that you guys are fishing enough to feed all of those people on Dragonstone. So it just seems stupid to me. So that's why I got mad at her. But I just feel like maybe one of the final things that could push her over the edge is if Daenerys, maybe if Cersei kills one of her dragons, like if she is completely successful, or if Drogon gets poisoned and then falls in battle, and she knows it's from Cersei because she sees that the wound that Drogon has on his shoulder becomes festered, you know? I was saying that I think he could die the same way as the person he was named after, which was Khal Drogo. Khal Drogo, a lot of people think Khal Drogo died from poisoning. That's not the case. Khal Drogo was fighting this dude, and in fighting the dude, he let his Irek touch him and then cut him, and he never treated that wound. So that wound festered, he became basically vegetative, and then that was when the witch tried to come in to heal him, and then she poisoned him, and then, yeah, you know, you have what you have. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think. I guess killing one of the dragons would be able to push her over the edge fully. Let's see. Q&A. Podrick seems like a waste of airtime, but he's still being made relevant. Do you think he'll play a big role next season? The bigger role he may play is his penis. No, I'm just kidding. I think, you know, every single character that's left alive at this point in the show has been somewhat bumped up to main tier cast. So I think that's why we're getting the extra screen time with characters like Pod, and then, you know, characters like Jan Royce are given more screen time. It's because everyone that's technically left alive at this point, who's in our story, who's in Winterfell, King's Landing, or Dragonstone, are gonna get screen time. So if you have people like Robin Arryn of the Vale, yes, he's still alive. Yes, he was in several scenes. He was only in one last season, but he's still alive. We're not in the Vale. So if we went to the Vale, he would be upgraded to a main cast member. You know, I would love to see. Where did the question go? Okay, so yeah, you know, that's pretty much it. I think that's why Podrick was given the extra scenes, is because anyone who's still alive, who's in a place of significance in this season, is going to get extra screen time. Let's see. I put you in a timeout, Tony Stark. I did that. That's from the boss man, just because you could be mentioning some spoilers. And if you weren't, well then I apologize. But if you are, just take that as a warning. Do not bring up any spoilers in the chat. You will get banned, sir. Q&A. Danny could have killed everyone by doing a side sweep. So just making a hole in the line. I think she was showing mercy. Do you agree? So basically, the way that Daenerys attacked the Lannister troops, she was showing mercy. I don't know about that. I need to rewatch that battle. I've seen it like 15 times, but from her attack strategy, I got everything but the word mercy from that. I think it just you know, the way that they wanted to film it, the angles they wanted to have her swooping in from the dragon on, the way they wanted to have everything burning, because, you know, they had like 20 people set on fire at once. I think that's the way that the battle, the way that she flew in, and it was filmed that way. The main reason being is because she basically, I don't think she was showing mercy. I don't think that that's at all what she was doing. I think that the way that she flew in and her attack strategy was basically so that they could film from certain angles. So the producers and the writers made her attack that way. I don't think there was any strategy to it, but I definitely don't think she was showing mercy. See, Q&A. When Jon finds out his parents really are, which last name do you think he will take? Honestly, I think Jon Snow will always be Jon Snow. Like, yes, he's technically a marriage of ice and fire. He is a union of, he is ice and fire incarnate himself, but I don't think that's going to change him. If anything, if he's going to take on a new last name, it will probably be Stark, just because he was raised in the North. Yes, he was born in Dorne, but he was raised in the North. He's a Northernman by blood, and also by everything about him is Northernman. So if he's going to take a new last name, I think it would be Stark, but I don't think he's going to change his name or change who he is and how he is when he finds out about his parentage. Q&A. Will King's Landing be destroyed at the end? I hope so, just so we can get the city rebuilt. I hope the citizens obviously aren't destroyed with the city, but I just get tired of all of the shit jokes about how the Blackwater is literally called Blackwater because there's poop floating in it, and how King's Landing stinks, and how Flea Bottom smells like everyone just takes shits in the street and just leaves it there. That's basically what they're doing. So because of all the poopy jokes about King's Landing, I kind of hope that it does get cleansed, so to speak. It would be awesome if the final battle of the White Walkers and the humans aren't at Winterfell, where it took place last time, because Winterfell, the castle, is named as the place where the last winter fell. Like, basically... oh, man, how many times can I say Winterfell? But basically, it's named that because that's the place where winter was ended. So I think it'd be cool, parallel contrast if we... or a cool parallel if we had the White Walkers coming even further down south, and they make it all the way to King's Landing. And then the last battle, at the last, you know, like... up front of mankind, the last stand for mankind happens in King's Landing. That'd be pretty cool. Because then it can be called Kings Banding, as in kings banding together to fight a common enemy. Oh man, Mark, you're crazy as fuck. Let's see. Q&A, how did Jaime go from 10 inches of water to 100 feet? I honestly, you know, I was really looking at that too. I think it was just a dramatic to show us that Jaime has lost all hope. Like, basically showing us that, you know, he was kind of doing a suicide attempt when he decided to charge Daenerys head on. Like, yeah, he didn't really want to kill himself in that moment, but I think he was giving a last effort. Like, if he could go out killing the Mad Queen, he would have been satisfied with doing that. And he thinks she's the Mad Queen. I'm not saying I do, but I think that him floating down was just showing us that he's lost all hope. Like, he's basically going to be, you know, screwed this next episode. And also, you know, it actually is a lake. When Daenerys first flies in, or one of the times when Daenerys is going up and she's moving around and she's burning shit, she comes back, loops around, and then flies over the lake. And when she does that, you can see sort of a panned out shot of the lake, and it is pretty wide. The part that Jaime got pushed into by Bronn was very shallow. It was like the shore, so you would think it was like 2 feet of water. But it could also be like a steep drop off. Like, maybe the shore is only like the first 2 feet of the water is steep or is shallow, and then there's like a huge drop off underneath. So it's possible. The force that Bronn hit him with, it could have maybe knocked him a few further feet back, you know, but I think it was more for a dramatic effect, just to show us that, you know, Jaime's losing all hope. He's basically screwed at this point. Let's see. Q&A, will we see Bran's vision come true of Drogon flying over King's Landing? That was basically when Bran's vision, like his super quick flashbacks where he's like, you know, he's shown the Mad King, he's shown Daenerys, he's shown a lot of stuff. You know, Daenerys flying her dragon over King's Landing is probably one of the greatest sights that I will ever see on television show. You know, I feel like we need that moment. If we're not giving it to us at the very end when Cersei, because Daenerys does make the line, I could fly straight to the Red Keep and end this. If that's the case, and Cersei doesn't want to give up the Iron Throne, and Daenerys just feels like she needs it to combat a solid effort against the White Walkers, or she needs it so that way she can start worrying about fighting the White Walkers, that's when that will happen. She will fly straight all over all of the little citizens of King's Landing, fly right into the Red Keep, and then I don't know what she planned on doing, because I feel like it may be a fair fight between Cersei and Daenerys. Like, we haven't seen either one of them fight. I would love to see that. Like, I feel like Daenerys... Oh, man. I don't know. I think that there's a chance of saying that. If Dany just completely gets fed up when she's like sick of this shit, she will fly straight into the Red Keep. She had predicted it. And honestly, we do know that lines given from certain characters end up becoming true. We saw that last season... Daario Naharis told Daenerys, hey, would you like me to take the Second Sons to the west side of Westeros and take Casterly Rock so that the Lannisters have nowhere to run? That's exactly what she did. So if we're shown that picture of, and we don't necessarily know if it was Drogon, we basically just saw a dragon's shadow, so we just assumed it was Drogon. But, you know, it could potentially, we saw that in a basically a preview or a flashback, a mixture of Bran's visions, and then we've also had that line hinted at where she said, I can fly straight to the Red Keep and end this myself. So if that happens, you know, that line was foreshadowing it, so it could potentially happen. Paula Ramos says, I hate Bronn now too. Yes, well, thank you. Glad we feel the same way. Q&A, will the Children of the Forest make the return when the White Walkers reach the wall? No, I think the Children of the Forest are completely gone. That's not the case, obviously, in the novels, but I think for the TV show, the Children of the Forest are officially gone. We didn't, and then I know this is a little bit biased, or a little bit, like, spoilery here, but we didn't get any casting call for Children of the Forest. And we know last season, the casting call for the Children of the Forest was, like, they wanted small female actresses. Like, they had to, obviously, they wanted them of age, but they wanted them to be small, slim, really short, and we didn't get any casting calls like that for this season. So I don't think that the Children of the Forest will be making another appearance. Q&A, do you think Jon will ride a dragon this season? Oh man, I love answering this question. I fucking hope so. I think that it would be amazing, but we saw it took 5 seasons for Daenerys to get on the back of Drogon. Mainly it was because we were waiting for him to get big enough. But I feel like Drogon is the more temperamental one of Daenerys' 3 dragons. I feel like Rhaegal and Viserion bonded with Tyrion when Tyrion came to let their chains out. So I wanted Tyrion to ride a dragon, and that showed me that since dragons are so intelligent, they can read and sense personalities, and they're really good at reading people. Obviously, we all know that Jon Snow's a good dude. He's our favorite character. He's a lot of our favorite characters, like mine is Daenerys, but it's also Jon Snow, you know what I mean, tied at number 1. Daenerys a little bit more because she's got tits. Jon Snow not as much because he's got a tiny pecker. But you know, I feel like there's definitely a possibility. Jon Snow's a good dude. Dragons can sense that. Jon Snow's going to be reacting with Drogon. There is also a chance that he may have a scene with Viserion and Rhaegal before Daenerys gets back the Dragonstone. Maybe one of them lands in front of him and drops him a fish, and he picks up the fish, and they start basically talking to each other and bond over that way. That would be sick. Oh shit, we got a $20 super chat. This is from Erin Habig. Thank you, madam. She says, hit that like button. Friday to y'all. Oh, happy Friday to y'all. Hell yeah, happy Friday. Thank you, Miss Erin. Oh, and we got another super chat. We got a super chat from Fred Wicks. And he says, motherfuckers ruining shit for us who didn't read the plot leak suck. And see, here's the thing. I read the plot leak. I did several videos on the plot leak back in January and November and December. So this was a long time ago. So a lot of the stuff in that version of the plot leak kind of has come into fruition, but some of it hasn't. So there's been updated versions of the plot leak, and there's actual scripts from the episode leaking. Now, script leaks, fuck that. Any kind of spoiler that comes out during the season, I try to stay away from. When it's something like the Brienne scene that leaked from last episode, it was basically a small clip of Brienne and Arya fighting. That technically wasn't a leaked scene. That was a promo for another country, and each country gets different promos. So the fact that that one was, you know, put online, I was like, fuck it, I might as well, you know what I mean? When it comes to something like HBO being hacked and then their script stolen and then the episode leaking, I'm a little bit more iffy on shit like that. The only reason why I watched episode 4 early was because people got in my comment section and in the chat or the live stream that I did, and they literally ruined the entire episode for me. They told me all of the major plot points. So I was like, okay, I'm going to fucking watch it now. So I watched it, and I sat on my feelings for 2 days, and then you saw how we rocked on Sunday. So it worked in my favor, kind of, but it was nuts. So that was the only reason why I watched that episode early, was because I refused to be ruined any longer. But I don't, as far as like plot leaks or script leaks, nah. Let's see, Q&A, do you think Jon Snow is going to get intimidated and bend the knee when Dany lands on Drogon in front of him? I actually already kind of answered that, and if you want some more thoughts on that, you can go check out my episode 5 preview breakdown. Episode 5 promo breakdown, rather. Q&A, in season 1, episode 8 or 9. Okay, I thought you said in season 8. I was about to say, what? Please don't. Okay, so in season 1, episode 8 or 9, Cersei predicted Sansa committing treason. Sansa is the daughter of a traitor who knows what treason she will hatch. Like, basically, that was a line that Cersei says. What are your predictions on what she will hatch? I mean, that's kind of already been fulfilled in many ways. You know, it's been fulfilled this season. It was fulfilled last season. Her treason was obviously, the main one is probably referring to when she left with Littlefinger. When she left King's Landing with Littlefinger, Joffrey was killed. So she was sort of blamed for that. That was probably the treason that she was referring to there. Q&A. Do you think Jaime is captured, or will he wash up somewhere? I actually have discussed that as well, so I'll forward you to my episode 4 breakdown and my episode 5 promo breakdown. But basically, I think there's a chance that Jaime could be captured. He's missing from those shots they would get of Daenerys addressing the Lannister soldiers, but that could just be because of the way that the camera angle is pointed at, we don't see him. The lake is big enough, and it's possible that maybe since he went so deep, his armor was sinking, maybe it's possible that Bronn was able to pull him ashore and they escape from, like, getting out the other side. The whole area is covered in ash and smoke and slit, and they do a job of showing us in the trailer. Like, basically the whole area is covered in mist and smog, so it would definitely be possible for, in the midst of that chaos, that Bronn and Jaime slip out the back. The question is it believable? Fuck no, because Daenerys saw Jaime running head on with him, and then he also saw her get pushed into the lake. she also saw him get pushed into the lake. So the very first thing that she would be doing, realistically, is fishing them out of the lake and then putting them in chains and making them bend the knee or die. I don't think that speech that Daenerys gives them, where she's basically like, you can bend the knee or you can die, I don't think it goes down that way. I think she basically says, you can bend the knee, you can continue to, or you can bend the knee, you can basically give up what you were doing before and start fighting for me, and you can help me, you know, conquer the rest of the 7 kingdoms, and then, you know, my reign will be peaceful and I might reward your loyalty. Or you can choose to rebel against me, continue to rebel against me, and maybe be my prisoner of war, or you can die. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as Daenerys saying that. And it's obvious because in that promo, it's cut. She says, you can bend the knee, and then there's another angle of her, and it looks like a little bit of time has passed, and then she says, or you can die. So I think there's a lot of, like, speech in between there that we're missing. And one of those speeches may, or a part of that speech may mention the fact that she's not saying, like, straight up, bend the knee or I'm going to kill you. She's probably saying, bend the knee, become my prisoner, or you know, you'll die. So I don't think it's that cut and dry. Q&A, do you think the sword Dawn could be Lightbringer? No, I don't think that sword. I do think that Dawn in the books is special. It glows. It's made from a meteorite sword. Dawn on the TV show just looks like a regular old fucking sword with a goddamn sun on the handle. So I feel like that, you know, there's a theory that that since Jon Snow was born underneath Dawn, and it's been a very popular theory for years now, but, you know, it's become more prevalent in the TV since the TV show showed Ned laying the sword of Dawn on the bed in which Jon Snow was born. So people are saying that now. It's become a really popular theory. I honestly don't think that for the TV show there's anything significant about that sword. And if they wanted me to think there was something significant about it, they would have made it glowing like it does in the TV show. We know that it's made out of a meteorite. Like, it's literally... I'm sorry, Kylie. I'm sorry. I know, I saw that last time. I go back and rewatch me sometimes, and rewatch myself sometimes, and I saw that when I said your name and answered your question, I always say Kyle. I'm sorry. I have a bit illiteracy. So yeah. Sorry about that. Well, I don't even remember what the hell I was asking. Okay, yeah, so Sword of Dawn. I don't think there's any special significance to that. I do think that if it was glowing, I would have, you know, I would have believed that a little bit more. Let's see. Now to answer that question from Kyle. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Kylie. Where is it? I just saw it on my screen. Oh, I gotta find it in the chat. Okay, Q&A. Do you think Tyrion and Sansa will ever get back together? I honestly think if Sansa was going to marry anyone, it would be Tyrion. Like, I feel like Jon would approve of that, and technically they're still married. You know, like, they were married by a bastard, which so that could be argued, and then Sansa got married again to Ramsay. So, you know, it could be argued that they technically aren't still married, but I feel like Jon Snow is so close to Tyrion. He's been spending all this time on Dragonstone, getting close to Tyrion. He may approve of that. And honestly, Tyrion treated her well, you know? It would be nice if we could have a union between the Lannisters and the Starks, and then we have kids, so that if there's any hostilities in the future, hey, you guys are fucking related, just like everyone else in the TV show. You're all secret Targaryens. But yeah, so I do think there's a slight chance of that. Q&A, do you think that Arya can beat the Hound by now? I don't think so. I do see your logic there, because technically the Hound was beaten by Brienne and Arya bested Brienne, but really it came up to a draw. I think the main difference is, and what people have to realize, is that Arya's fighting style is literally the complete opposite of Brienne. Brienne fights in the Westerosi hand-to-hand combat style. So it's basically sword thrust, leaps, lunges. You know, you may dodge every now and then, but basically you lead every attack with your blade, right? Not the case with Arya. Arya literally is able to dance around her. And honestly, the smaller you are, the harder of a target you are to hit. So it is believable. Everyone keeps saying, like, where did she get the time to train, or where did she do this? My sweet summer children. Just because you don't see something happen on screen doesn't mean it does not happen. perfect example, Stannis is dead. We didn't see it happen. We kind of heard it, but we didn't see it. We're actually shown almost every episode where Arya is not in the House of Black and White since season 1, when she first trains with Miltos. I'm sorry, with Serial Pharrell. That's his real name, is Miltos. She's training. She's been doing that since season 1. If we're supposed to believe that 3 to 4 years has passed, she obviously, they don't need to show it every episode that when she wakes up in the morning, she starts training, but they showed it a lot. So we're to believe that, yes, she continued doing that. And then the other argument is, well, she put up Needle when she got to the House of Black and White. She got there at the end of season 5. She was only at the House of Black and White for all of season 6. That's it. That's a few months. She was still training in other weapons. You know, she was being taught how to move. She was being taught how to fight with a fucking staff and blind at the same time. So her training has been extensive. She's been one of the most training people on the fucking show. Like, she's literally been training since then. They don't have to show it in the episode for us to believe that it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, just because they don't show it on screen, don't make that let you think that, oh, she's not training anymore, because that's not the case. Arya has been training basically since we've met her. She's literally been a better bowman than Bran, which, you know, I guess isn't too much because Bran wasn't very good, but she's been shown that she can put it up. She can do the work. So that's why she's able to best Brienne. She's able to dance around her like water. So with that sort of train of thought, this is where you're coming to, is saying that she can beat Sandor. I honestly think that, yes, she could. Sandor's got a limp now. You know, Brienne fucked him up. Brienne basically, like, wounded this dude hardcore. So she's been, you know... So I do think that it is possible for Arya to beat Brienne. And I want to do... And I actually had already started working on it, and I was going to wait to release it until the end of the season, because once that happens, I'll be doing like 4 to 5 videos a week. I'm pretty much going to be full-time on YouTube when I reach 20,000 subscribers. I had mentioned that I was going to talk about it at some point, but literally, like, once I reach 20,000 subscribers, I'm going to switch it so that I'm only working 2 days a week. So that means I'm going to be relying on YouTube for a major source of income. And this is probably one of the most scariest things I've ever done in my life. But I feel like the amount of feedback that we've had this season, the amount of time and effort and money that I've put into this channel, like buying all my equipment, making sure my computer can render videos within under 10 minutes, like all of this effort, it's been building up to this point. And I feel like hitting 20,000 subscribers in the projectile path that we're going on, it's going to be possible for us to reach 50,000 subscribers within another few months. So I feel like I need to devote my time to this, because I do want to do it full time. And yes, I want to make Game of Thrones content, but I also want to make other content too. So it's all going to be branching out from that. And the only way that I'll ever know is by taking this huge leap forward. And that's going to be a major leap. It's going to be scary as shit to think that all of my income is going to be, I'm going to be working for myself, and it's literally going to be up to me to make sure I have money to pay rent for the next month. So it's scary, but it's also exciting as hell, because I know it's possible. I have faith in myself, so I do believe in that. You know, I've been working my ass off since I was 16. Like, my dad, when me and my sister turned, I was almost 17. My sister was 19. Pretty much when we turned that age, that's the age when my dad's parents kind of stopped fucking with him. So that's what he did to us. He ditched us and left us in Florida. So I've been working my ass off since I was 16. I've had a job working in restaurants since then. It's time to switch shit up. I want to, I kind of want to make sure, you know, I have money saved up, which that's what I've been doing. I've been saving up money, so I do have a little bit of stuff to fall back on. And if it doesn't work, you know, I'm still working at Chipotle just 2 days a week. I can just pick up more shifts. So yeah, that was the exciting news. I wanted to bring that up to you. So that's, once we hit 20,000 subscribers, that will be happening. We'll be on 4 to 5 videos a week. All right, so let's see. Getting back to the Q&A. Let's see. Matt Z just sent another super chat. Yo, Matt Z, you were the man, bro. He says, let us know how we can help. Shit, I don't even know. Thank you for that. Helena Von Leinstein says, what a motherfucker, your dad. Hell yeah, man. He's a good dude. I love my father, but you know, what he did when we were teenagers was not appropriate, especially since my sister had just had a baby. So, you know, honestly, it's made me a stronger person. So yeah, like I resent my father for doing that, but if he hadn't have done it, I wouldn't be who I am now. It's Q&A. In the next episode, according to the trailer, Jon Snow knows about Bran's visions. Do you think they sent a raven? And if so, do you think Bran will tell Jon about his true parentage? Now, I've actually mentioned that in my episode 5 promo breakdown, I mentioned that you can see Jon Snow holding a raven scroll. You can see him holding the raven scroll when he delivers the news that Bran said that the Night King is moving towards Eastwatch. So that message is definitely delivered that way. You can see Jon Snow holding the raven scroll. So as far as Jon Snow being told about his parentage through a raven scroll, I'd be like, that'd be the dumbest way for that to happen. And honestly, that would suck. The way I wanted it to happen was if Bran can show Jon Snow himself, just show him in a vision, just literally just grab his hand and be like, hey Jon Snow, would you like to see the moment of your birth? I don't know if time travel works the same way in Westeros as it does in other time travel movies, whereas if you see your past self, it's not a good thing. I don't think that Westeros is like that. I think it's literally like he'll just be seeing, you know, what happened, how he was born. I would love to see that. I feel like Bran is kind of holding out on the fact that he can basically go see Ned whenever he wants to. He can go see Ned Stark in his prime when Ned was still like, oh man, that would be nuts. I feel like he should just literally be like, hey guys, you guys want to see Dad? I know you're sad. I know y'all miss him. I know, you know, I miss him too. I can literally take you to go see him. Like, it's nuts. So, you know, to sort of summarize your question, I don't think that Jon Snow will be told about his parentage through Bran sending a raven. I feel like if that does happen, that'd be really cheesy. And, you know, I'm saying that, but it could be a really dope raven. Maybe Bran flies the raven like Westerosi DM style and basically wargs the raven to Jon, making him fly straight to Dragonstone. Here's a question for you all. Do you all think that Jon Snow is going to go to straight Eastwatch by the Sea from Dragonstone? Or do you think he's going to go home first and get supplies and meet up with Tormund and the Brotherhood Without Banners, who we know goes north of the Wall with him? I think that's the main thing we're all missing here. Sandor has been headed up north since episode 1. Where the fuck are you at, bro? It's episode 5. It took Arya like 3 episodes to get to Winterfell. And technically, you were kind of closer to Winterfell than she was when she was in Walder Frey, and she stayed there longer while y'all were in a place where it was already snowing. So that doesn't make sense to me. I feel like Sandor should have already been in Winterfell. Unless he's not going to Winterfell. Unless he went straight to Castle Black. But I do think that Jon Snow will be going home. And the reason being is because he has to meet up with Tormund. And Tormund has to go with him north of the Wall. Let's see. Helena Von Lanestein says, I totally will subscribe on Patreon. Are you there? Yes, there's actually a link in the description of this video. The link straight to my Patreon channel. And any support you could give will be greatly appreciated. That goes for anybody else watching. If y'all want to jump on the Sir Hunt's Patreon, become a sponsor, you can basically click the link in the description and you can donate anywhere from $1 to $5. I don't feel right taking any more than $5 from someone. Like, I feel like $5 is for as small as my channel is, I feel like that should be the most. Okay, so let's see. Straight to Eastwatch. Jon goes straight to Eastwatch. Alright, so it looks like you guys are... I don't know. I feel like that'd be a foolish mistake, Mr. Snow. I feel like you should go home and you should meet up with your fucking brothers and your sisters. Maybe that's why I think that. Maybe because I feel like I want there to be a full-on House Stark reunion. Like, I want every single member of House Stark to be in the same room. I want that to happen so bad. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Like, literally, that's the reason why I'm biased in the sense that, you know, I think Jon Snow should go home. And it also makes sense. I feel like he only has 5 fucking soldiers with him. Like, how much damage do you think you're gonna do, Jon Snow? You don't even have your Red Priest with you to revive your ass. You sent her off. You got her so scared that she left the place where you are currently residing because you showed up to the area. Like, I know there's people like that to me in real life. Like, someone, there's a few people whose ass I've kicked in high school, that whenever I go to a mutual friend's house and that person is over there, they leave. They immediately get in their car and they drive away because of a fight that happened in high school. So that's basically what Melisandre did. I feel like, Jon, you'd be jumping the gun so much, and you'd be foolish if he does go straight to Eastwatch. But it looks like you guys, everyone in the chat is saying that he goes straight to Eastwatch. I'm not gonna let that change my opinion, though. I think he's gonna go home first. Reason being is because he'd be so foolish to think that he can take those 3 House Stark guards who look like the same dudes. I know they're not the same dudes, but I'm saying they look like their IQ is the same level as those idiots who didn't let Arya in, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna turn my back on a girl who says that she's this person, and then she fucking disappears. I feel like the Stark soldiers he took with him are in that intelligence level. Hey, you know what would be sick? What if Theon goes north of the Wall with Jon Snow? Would that not be sick? If Jon is like, look, I need to take any troops you'd be willing to give. Jon, you have, or, you know, and then Theon walks up to Jon and goes, hey, Jon, I have fucked over House Stark for so long. I'm going to, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go help you. I think, that would be nuts. That would be so nuts. I think Jon should take some people with him. He doesn't have very many Stark troops. Oh, we got a $10 super chat from Matt Z, and he said, too bad, here's 10. Thank you, sir. Q&A. Is Jaqen coming back? If so, when do you think and why? If Jaqen was gonna come back, I would have liked to have seen him show up and take the place of Shaved Pate in the Citadel, basically sneaking around there looking for a certain key. I don't know. I feel like if he was gonna come back, he should have showed up and like we should have seen him tracking down Arya, because Arya is basically ruining the presence of the Faceless Men. She's abusing her powers to the Faceless Men are supposed to be impartial somewhat, to the sense like of the Maesters. The Maesters aren't supposed to technically be loyal to one house. They're supposed to work under whoever's house is in power, like in whatever keep or castle they're at, whatever stronghold they're at. They're supposed to be impartial in that way. And in fact, the Faceless Men should be too. Whoever pays them, that's who they're going to be loyal to. You know what I mean? So I don't know if they would be happy that Arya is basically using her powers and abusing them and killing all the Freys. Like, no one paid her to do that. So I felt like if Jaqen was going to be brought back into the story, that would have been the perfect way to do it, to introduce him tracking down Arya for being pissed off that Arya is abusing the Faceless Men powers. But he didn't. So I think the chances of him being brought back into the story, I guess, are about 50%. I definitely don't think it'll be this season, though. I think that if he's going to be brought back into the fray, it will be next season. And maybe it could be to potentially stop Arya, because Arya has done so much shit abusing their powers at that point. Oh snap, we got a super chat from Morning Mayan, and she says, best of luck going full time. Thank you. Thank you. That was really sweet of you. Thank you. Oh, we got another super chat. Jesus. This is 10 euros, and this is from Helena von Leinstein, and she says, I think I'm saying your last name right. I don't think I am. I think I am, but I don't know. I bet my money on an epic fight between Jaqen and Arya. Anakin and Obi-Wan style. No, Annie, I have the higher ground. Don't do it. And then he jumps and gets his fucking limbs cut off. And then the lava washes over his shit, cauterizing his wounds. God, that's such a graphic scene. Oh, I love it. Star Wars is like the #1 thing that I want to start producing content on, next to anime and Marvel/DC movies. Okay, so she says the Iron Bank will hire Faceless Men to get rid of Jon and or Dany to protect their future investment in Cersei. So you think the Iron Bank is going to stay loyal to Cersei even though they've gotten their pay? I think that they could still, I think they may switch to whoever is going to be the top person. Like I think they may switch to Daenerys. I don't know. I feel like hiring the Faceless Men to kill Jon Snow or Daenerys would be an insane twist that no one would see coming. Can you imagine Missandei is acting a little bit weird and then face reveal, she's here to kill. Oh, that would be nuts. That would be so insane. Oh, that would be so sad. What if that happens in the very end? Like one of the last scenes we're showing is like a Faceless Man coming up to kill Jon Snow or any of those. Peter Romero says Stranger Things 2. Hell yeah, that's what Stranger Things is one of my favorite TV shows. And Westworld, I'll be doing all of those. We have a lot of that's one thing. We may have a year to wait for Game of Thrones season 8 to come out, but we also have all of these killer fucking TV shows. We have Stranger Things 2 coming out in October, right around Halloween. We have The Walking Dead starting up, which hopefully it will be a better season than last year. We also have you know, Westworld Season 2 should be starting early on next year. We've got lots of things that should potentially keep us entertained. We also have the spoilers. When the plot, when the filming spoilers come out, you know, I'll be covering those as well. Let's see. Fuck off with anime. Dude, anime is some of the best. Anime, I enjoy certain anime more than certain TV shows. Anime is where it's at. You just gotta find the right one. Q&A, how good is Jon Snow at sword fighting? Is he at Jaime level with both hands? See, Jaime with both hands, was legendary, but we never really got to see that on the TV show. We saw him fighting Ned. Ned was almost like past his prime. And Ned was still able to kind of one-up him. If that fucking Lannister soldier hadn't stabbed his spear through the leg of Ned, I honestly think he may have taken out Jaime. And then we also saw Jaime sparring with Brienne on the bridge when he still had two of his hands. And yes, he was a good fighter, but Jon Snow has taken out an insane... Jon Snow has killed a White Walker. Jon Snow has killed a Thin, which honestly, the Thin on the TV shows are not the same as the Thin in the books. Jon Snow has killed multiple crazy sick fighters. So I feel like... I don't know. I feel like he's at least better than how Jaime used to be with two hands. And you know, the thing is he is in his prime right now. He's supposed to be 22 years old on the TV show. So he's literally in his physical prime right now. He can do whatever it takes. And I feel like his heart may not be beating, so that may make him a better fighter in the sense that he doesn't get as nervous because his heart rate can't like beat through his I don't know. I just started getting crazy off there. I'm getting excited about this next episode. The more I keep thinking about it, the more we keep discussing it here. I'm getting super excited. All right. So who's the best fighter now? Jon? I believe it is Jon. I believe it's Jon Snow. And then the second best would be Arya and Brienne. And then Sandor right after that. Obviously the Mountain has to come up. The Mountain could probably, if we're being realistic, okay, with the Mountain's size, the amount of armor he's wearing, and the fact that he's a fucking undead zombie, and he took a bat to the chest, a spiked bat at that, which is the same as almost taking a dagger to the chest like Jon Snow. The thing pierced through his armor, so it was pretty hardcore. And he just took that like it was nothing. So if we're being all realistic, the Mountain should be able to beat every single one of them, whether it's on single combat or if they're all three fighting him at once. He should be able to kill all of them. But if we're gonna have to list the fighters, I'm gonna say Jon Snow first. You know, the Mountain is up there as well, but I don't really consider it because he's undead, so that doesn't really count. So it would be Jon Snow, Arya, Brienne at number 2. Then we have Sandor at number 3, along with Thoros, Bronn, you know, Jaime, one-handed Jaime, Jorah. Jorah's a really good fighter. People forget about how sick he was in the Pits of Daznak. Like, yeah, he was getting fucked up, but he's also an old man. You know what I mean? So you got to look at that. Then I guess somewhere way down the list, you'd have Bronn. Oh, you've had Pod and I was gonna say Ollie, but I guess he doesn't count because he's dead. Let's see. It's gin o'clock, folks. I like that. Q&A, what will happen to Euron Greyjoy? Will Theon kill him? Oh, man. You know what? I'm actually a really big fan of Euron. Like, I actually changed up my theme or my catchphrase for this channel. I switched it up to I Am the Storm, specifically because of how badass Euron was in the TV show in episode 2. So, you know, answering your question, I would like to see Theon have a hero's redemption arc, but if that involves him having to kill Euron's gonna have to die. So if anyone's gonna do it, I would like to see Theon do it. Or maybe even Jon Snow. Just cause like I feel like that would be such an awesome fucking fight. If we get to see Euron on land, on a solid surface, not on a ship, but he's on land and he's fighting someone, I would like to see him fight Sandor, Jon Snow, or Brienne. Just because I feel like if he fights Theon, all realistically, we knew that Yara was a better fighter than Theon, even when Theon was like 100%. Theon is one of the greatest archers in Westeros, right? In the novels. But even when he was still himself, I feel like Yara was a better fighter than him. So I feel like if Yara lost to Euron and Theon fought Euron, Theon realistically should die. He would die in that, and I don't want Theon to die. So I feel like if Theon fought Euron, Theon would die. But I feel like if Euron fights someone like Jon Snow, Brienne, or Sandor Clegane, he would get his ass rocked. Like, it would be such a badass fight. It would be so good. And I feel like it would be a little bit in Euron's favor if it was on ship, because he's used to fighting, you know, ship-to-ship battles. I feel like it would just be fair if it was on land. It'd be all everyone else you know, would kind of just it just wouldn't be fair. Let's see. I see a lot of people talking about Shingeki no Kyojin. That is Attack on Titan. That is probably Attack on Titan, Shiki, and Tokyo Ghoul are my favorite anime. And also, oh god, Berserk. Okay, so my favorite anime, I know this is like off topic here, but my 4 favorite anime are Berserk, Tokyo Ghoul, Shingeki no Kyojin, sorry, Attack on Titan, and then Shiki. Shiki's a little known one, but I'm into the dark and vampire type of animes, and Shiki is like the best vampire anime there is, dude. Shiki's such a good anime. It's so good. And there's only like 27 episodes. Some of my favorite episodes of anime are the shorter run, self-contained ones. Not like Shingeki is my favorite as of right now because it's still running, but also, you know, I like the ones that are just like a self-contained story. Sort of like oh man, let's not get carried away with anime because I could talk about that just as long as I could talk about Game of Thrones. Alright, so another Game of Thrones question. Q&A. Which episode will the Unsullied get to King's Landing and meet up with the Dothraki to initiate the siege? I don't know if that will happen this season. I feel like the Unsullied are on the other side of the map, and they may be held up there for a while. You know, the only way they could get back is if Euron is dealt with. Euron's blocking the port so that they can't leave. Euron would be a fucking fool if he tried to seize Casterly Rock, which we all know that dragons couldn't even take Casterly Rock. So he would be a fool if he tried to take it from the water. And we know that that's the Ironborn strong point, so I don't think they're the best land fighters, and I feel like the Unsullied would wipe the shit out of them on land. So I feel like they're basically just there to block them, and they burned the Unsullied ship, so they aren't going to be leaving anywhere. I don't think that we'll ever get that moment, at least not in this season, where the Unsullied and the Dothraki are on the same field and they rush to go in and fight King's Landing. Let's see, we have 307 people watching right now, yet only 238 likes. Can y'all please, let's try to get up to 300 likes. That's the last goal we're going to try to hit this this live stream. We'll get up to 300 likes. Let's see, I'm going to be taking a few more questions. I wanted to wrap this up right around an hour and 45 minutes, just because I have to start preparing for the next video, and, you know, set myself up for this weekend. Mainly it's because I want to go smoke some weed. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. Let's see, Q&A. What do you think Euron has planned for Yara? Because we haven't seen her since Euron took them to King's Landing, but we've seen Ilaria and Tyene. Well, Yara was up on... we did see Yara walking through the streets of King's Landing. I think that he may be planning on raping her. I know that sounds crazy, but I think he plans on raping her. He mentions to her that he's got a boner from all the crowd cheering at him, and I feel like Euron is a rapist in the books. He rapes his younger brother, and, you know, multiple other people, so I feel like he may rape Yara. I don't necessarily want that to happen, but I think that could be his ultimate plan. Sweet, we got a super chat from Fred Wicks. This is for $5. He says, is Dany's vision of the Iron Throne room ashes going to happen? If so, will it be by Cersei wildfire or by Dany's dragon fire? Now see, I interpret that scene much differently than most people. I interpret that scene as snow falling in King's Landing. So winter has officially reached King's Landing. Yes, there's holes in the roof, and yes, the whole thing just seems to be covered in soot, but I think that could be because there was a battle at King's Landing. That's where the final battle will take place. At King's Landing. So that's winter falling down on King's Landing. And then after the battle's over, that's Daenerys walking in through the Red Keep, the thing that she's fought her entire life for, and she realizes that it is just ashes now because the ultimate battle needed to be up north. Legend of Korra, that's also really good. I don't necessarily consider that anime, but I do love that. I love the Avatar. I do think it's possible that the reason why it looks like that is because Cersei blows up the entire city, but I felt like, you know, the novels do a much better job of mentioning how there is literally caches of wildfire all throughout the kingdom. It's mentioned in the TV show, and I think that Cersei mentions that as well. Tyrion is mainly the one who knows it because he mentions it to the pyromancers. He's like having more of it commissioned for the Battle of Blackwater. So really, there's like little chunks of it all throughout the city. So if it could literally trigger a chain reaction. If that were the case, though, logistically speaking, when Cersei blew up the Septa Baelor, that should have triggered all those other micro cataclysms, and that should have like leveled King's Landing, right? So everyone should be dead. So I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if Cersei has enough wildfire left, and I feel like the perfect weapon for fighting dragons and just an army in general is wildfire. So if she had wildfire, she should be using that at her disposal. She may be using it as a secret last-minute strategy. If Daenerys is successful in invading Westeros, she blows everything up, or she blows up King's Landing because of that. You know, if she lost Jaime, she may be willing to just kill herself. I don't really know. There's no telling. Sometimes they do such a good job at writing in these little character arcs that it's hard to predict which way they're going to go, because in one episode they'll be doing one thing, but in another episode they're doing something totally different. Q&A, do you think we will ever hear what Lyanna said to Ned? I hope so. I was hoping that when we got the flashback from the tourney at Harrenhal, when we got another flashback from Bran, it may be him showing Jon Snow what happened at the Tower of Joy, and then we can see like a more in-depth, like all Bran really needed to do was just lean in, like walk closer and lean in, you know what I mean? Lean in and listen to what they were saying. I do think that is something that will likely be flushed out on the novels, not as much in the TV show, because I think the point in the TV show is to show us what that message was, not necessarily what she said, but what the goal was behind that message. And I think we've seen that it was to not tell Robert Baratheon that Jon Snow is the bastard child of Rhaegar Targaryen, or is just the child of Rhaegar, because obviously Robert would want to kill Jon Snow, and Jon is Ned's nephew. So Ned has been fulfilling that promise this whole time up until when he dies and sends Jon Snow to the wall. Is he's keeping Jon Snow safe, which is what that message that Lyanna told him was, please protect him from Robert, because if Robert finds out, he'll kill him. And we can see her mention Robert in that little message. We do, that part is clear. Let's see, a few more questions. Q&A, when are you going to do a vid about anime shows? If you guys want it, if you guys want me to do an anime video, I can break down the season 3. Is it season 3? I'll review my predictions. I'll make predictions for the next season of Shingeki. I watched the dubbed version. Sometimes I watch the subbed version for animes, but I feel like the voice actors for the dubbed version, the English version, they're really good. Really good voice actors, so I don't mind watching them. And also, if I don't have to read, you know, that's a bonus. If I don't have to read while I'm watching anime, especially with anime, because anime is so action-packed, you'll miss what's happening, you know what I mean, trying to read what's going on. But it's also better to read anime, the subtitles sometimes, because a lot of the words are lost in translation. Q&A, how do you think Rhaegar, but yeah, so if you guys want me to do an anime video, write that down in the comment section. Q&A, how do you think Rhaegar learned the prophecy? Basically, Rhaegar is, he was a good fighter, but he was also known to be more of a reader. So Rhaegar read all these books, and in the process of him reading the books, that's what actually made him want to become a fighter and made him want to start fulfilling these prophecies. So I think he just discovered it. I believe it was at Harrenhal. No? There's a certain place that's mentioned. I think it was Harrenhal, yeah. Or Summerhall. There's a place where he basically goes and okay, so Rhaegar was born at Summerhall. During the tragedy at Summerhall. I just feel like he just read a lot of books his whole life, and that's what made him want to where's that question at? I can't, it's so hard for me yeah. So basically Rhaegar learned about the prophecy through the books. I don't think he learned about the prophecy. Who did you say? I can't even find that fucking question now. But yeah, so basically Rhaegar learned about the prophecy through the books. He wasn't told by any particular person. Q&A, before Ramsay died, he said to Sansa, I'm part of you now. He means emotional damage, or will we see more about that statement later? Initially, by the way, thank you Alicia Davis for the super chat. Initially, I thought that Sansa was pregnant. So when we first started seeing, this was last year, and I think I'm the reason why Sophie Turner mentioned that fans were thinking, because I literally, I'm not giving myself props here, but I was the first person on YouTube to mention that she could be pregnant. Reason being is because there was a certain picture that showed her on that lake scene when she's escaping Ramsay's troops and she's with Theon. There's a scene where her dress is a little bit more open and she appeared to be heavier set, and I was like, oh, okay, she's definitely pregnant with Ramsay's baby. But no, I think now, since it's been flushed out for so long, she hasn't shown signs of being pregnant. It's been a while. I think what Ramsay meant was the fact that he raped her, he was inside of her, he emotionally damaged her, and that's always going to be a part of her when she makes decisions in the future. So he says that's what he means when he says, you know, I'm a part of you now. Where basically he knows that he left a long-lasting imprint in her mind that he will always be on her mind at some point because of how much emotional damage he did to her. Q&A, will we see Yara with her tongue cut out and attached to the front of Euron's ship? Euron is known to cut the tongue out of his crews, cut the tongue out of his crew members to keep all of his secrets. I don't really know what secrets Yara could be keeping of his. I guess it could be, you know, her plans coming up. I feel like it may come back to bite him in the ass. I think that Yara may be given sort of like a Dusky Woman version where, as in the novels, Euron sends Victarion to go and meet with Daenerys and basically bring Daenerys into the fray and start helping the Ironborn, and he gives her gifts. Or he gives gifts to Victarion. Victarion has to continuously remind himself that Euron's gifts are poisoned. One of Euron's gifts was this woman called the Dusky Woman. She's basically like, she's black, and we don't know her origin, but she's pretty much like someone who's had their tongue cut out, and a lot of people think that the reason why is because she's given to Victarion to basically like learn his secrets, learn how he works and shit like that. So initially Victarion doesn't really trust the situation, but he ends up liking the fact that he can talk to the Dusky Woman and she doesn't talk back. So it's almost like he can just tell her everything, and he does. He ends up telling her all of his deep secrets. So let's just say that kind of gets switched lightly, very lightly adapted to Yara. Let's say Yara has her tongue cut out, and you know, she could have already had her tongue cut out because she was kind of clenching at her throat and she didn't say anything, and I feel like she should have some sort of response from when Euron said, hey, I've got a crowd boner. Like she would have said, you're disgusting, or you disgust me, or something. She didn't say that. So Yara's tongue could very well already be cut out, and I feel like the way that they could loosely adapt the Dusky Woman to Yara is if Yara is you know, in the confines of being with Euron, and obviously Euron wouldn't tell her secrets, but if Euron doesn't plan on ever having her leave, and he's basically her bed slave, which is what the Dusky Woman is to Victarion, then maybe he could say some shit, and maybe Yara ends up escaping and goes and relays that message back to Daenerys, and that can be like the show's version of a Dusky Woman lightly adapted to Yara. But at that note, we are at an hour and 50 minutes, and this is going to be the wrap-up time. Let's see if we can hit 300 likes for this video. I want to thank you all so fucking much for rocking with me for the past 2 hours. I love you all. Y'all are all beautiful. Please make sure you're subscribed. Go ahead and slap any more likes on this. Make sure you comment down below in the comment section. If you're just now joining us, please go back and watch. Let's see, I just got another super chat. This is going to be the very last question. This is from Fred Wicks, and thank you, sir. And he says, Q&A, will Arya be Queen of the North? Cersei pregnant. I definitely don't think Arya would ever want to become Queen of the North. I think the main reason that she's back home is to basically help Jon. She was given that Valyrian steel dagger. She's going to be fighting White Walkers with it. Other than that, it's just some Valyrian steel. It's just some fancy steel. You know what I mean? I feel like she's given that knife for a purpose. I do think that there's a chance that that knife is another sword reforged. I mentioned that it could have been one of the original attempts of Lightbringer, like one of the first or second times when Azor Ahai tried to forge Lightbringer. This is one of the shards from that. Like, let's say he was forging Valyrian steel and he was trying to get it to do, you know, a certain thing, and this could be one of the fragments of that reforged. But this could also be Dark Sister. I've also mentioned that Dark Sister could have been repurposed into another sword. I mentioned that Mira could potentially have Dark Sister when she left Bloodraven's cave, but it looks to be more and more like that's not going to happen. So this blade could very well be a reforged Dark Sister. The handle does match the original hilt of Dark Sister. It's also got that emblem, or the ruby, that is said to be at the very edge of the hilt of Dark Sister, so that the Catspaw dagger could exactly be Dark Sister. And I kind of screwed myself over because I was actually working on a theory video for that, but I'll still put it out for y'all anyway. I want to thank everyone for rocking with me right now, who's watching. I want to thank you all so much. Please make sure you're subscribed, make sure you slap a like on this video, then make sure you go ahead and turn your notifications on so that way you get alerted every time I drop Game of Thrones content. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. And if you would like to be entered into my contest for once I reach 20,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and you can win a Funko Pop mystery figure, all you have to do to enter that contest is like this video, comment down below, subscribing here on YouTube, then hop on Twitter and follow me. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.